So there's a lot of rules and regulations that there's tax codes that we have to go by. So um, the wheels of change grind very very slowly. So that was a huge drawback that it made change very very limited or time consuming and very very slow. So most of the times your ideas or a change request had to go through several layers before it reached to the person that actually approves or can help you make a change. And oftentimes nothing happened. There was no change. So things always stay as is. Also, we had another drawback would be local procedures. So how we did things in Fresno would be different from how they did them in Sacramento or Las Vegas. Even though the federal government is all the United States, local procedures kind of made that a drawback because things could be different for different people in different parts of the country. Also, another drawback I would say it advancement wasn't so it's not a meritocracy basically. So it doesn't matter that you're more qualified. It comes down to seniority and who has more length of service is the official term. So somebody could have served in the Marines and had 4 years there and started at the same position that somebody that was doing that job 4 years had, and they'd be equals essentially because serving the government or serving the military is a government and it counts basically. So those type of drawbacks were or are difficult, and also I would say another drawback would be the political impact. So that means there's continuous change with presidents, leadership, even just leadership within the Internal Revenue Service. So the commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service is appointed and elected and serves a term. So there's change there, and every new leadership brings in change. However, um, sometimes the state of the elections or having Congress pass a new budget, all that would sometimes cause. I'm sure you guys are aware of the government shutdowns that usually occur. So that was a huge drawback because it puts you in a state of unknown. So you don't know when you're going to work or get paid again. So having a government shutdown was very impactful to the everyday employee as well as the taxpayers that we serve, because now we weren't able to produce and perform our duties. So it was just um very negative all around. The biggest misconception of working for the federal government, I would say, number one for me would have been that government employees, we aren't held to the same accountability standards as civilians or regular people. That's a huge misconception. So, as far as being an IRS employee, we were held to high standards of tax compliance. So, we could never file our tax return late. So, it was always due by the due date, which is generally April 15th. So, whether you had a refund or you owed, it was always due on April 15th. You could file an extension. However, if you were going to owe, you had to pay whatever you were going to owe by April 15th. No exceptions. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So we had to file our tax return on time every year. Also, we weren't allowed to have a payment plan. So regular sector civilians taxpayers can create a payment plan if they owe the IRS or the government. No issues, no problems. Us government employees were not eligible for payment plans. So if we owe, you have to pay. Um, so that was a huge misconception. We were held to high standards, and of course with reason. We are enforcing the law, and it's just not ideal to not be tax compliant. Another misconception I would say was pay. So pay, a lot of people associate government and government employees, so they, automatically think that that means that they're compensated well. It can be, if you're at the executive level and up there, definitely. But For the regular everyday employee, you have, or we have, what's called locality pay. So somebody in Fresno is going to be getting paid differently from somebody in Orlando, Florida. So there's locality pay. We're performing the same duties, however, based on your locality, you would get paid different. And interestingly enough, living in California, you would assume that our locality pay would be a lot higher, as we're known for being a more expensive state. However, Fresno specifically was under a locality which was labeled rest of the United States. So there was, like San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, they had their own locality pay based off their city. Major cities like Denver, Las Vegas, Seattle, Dallas, all those large cities had their own locality. However, Fresno fell under the rest of the U.S. So that could be somewhere small like Omaha, Nebraska, where the cost and the price of living is a lot lower in Nebraska than it is in California. However, you would be getting paid the same. So that was a uh, huge misconception there, that you were automatically getting compensated well. Overall, working for the government is a great career, especially if you want job security. Aside from the few government shutdowns, pretty much always going to have government, and the IRS as well. So yeah, no, it's definitely a great place to have a career.